Late season tornadoes are not rare, but boy can they be nasty and deadly because they're unexpected. Today in 1996, a rare and significant late season tornado outbreak ravaged the north central United States. Hi, I'm Chris May, host of This Day in Weather History, a podcast from the Weather Network in Canada. This week is brought to us by Tourism Ireland, where 3,000 years of Halloween history awaits you. Be with us this Saturday, the 31st, for a special Halloween episode to learn about the ancient origins of Halloween in Ireland while looking at some standout weather events around the world that either helped or hindered ghosts and goblins on this special spooky day. But today we look back at a series of low-topped supercells that dropped a total of 26 tornadoes, 5 of which were rated F2. It happened October 26, 1996, this day in weather history. What makes this particular outbreak notable is not just the number of unique touchdowns, it's more the time of year that it took place. Typically, early fall is a very quiet time of the year for tornadoes in the United States. As a matter of fact, our attention has been on this podcast more dedicated to hurricanes, if you've been following all month so far. Of the tornadoes that do form at this time of year, they are typically in the Gulf states, where there is still a dedicated stream of volatile instability, where the Gulf moisture collides with the dynamically colder, drier air seeping south from Canada in the fall as winter approaches. In the state of Minnesota prior to this outbreak, there had been only 10 tornadoes ever recorded during the month of October. So the 14 tornadoes on this day in weather history literally blew away, most late-season outbreak records. In the final breakdown, it was determined that of the colossal number of twisters on this one day, 3 touched down in Nebraska, 9 in northeastern South Dakota, and 14 across west central and central Minnesota. Let's now dive into what happened. The outbreak started in Nebraska when 3 tornadoes touched down first thing in the morning starting at 7:23 a.m. and dropping consistently through 9 a.m. From here, the atmospheric activity favorable for funnel formation shifted northward to South Dakota, and it was there where 9 tornadoes touched down within 1 hour of each other from 11:30 in the morning till 12:30 in the afternoon. Finally, 14 more tornadoes, 14, touched down in the high plains state of Minnesota during the middle and late afternoon hours. But how many were just placebos as opposed to damaging twisters? Of the 26 tornadoes that touched down that day, 5 were rated as F2. I told you that earlier. The rest were between F0 and F1. The good news for all lives and property at risk is that these tornadoes formed from low-topped supercells. Therefore, the tornadoes that formed from these clusters were relatively weak. Now, although there were no fatalities, there were 15 storm-related injuries and close to $1.5 million in damage, most of which occurred in rural areas of west central Minnesota, the home of the record-breaking 14 touchdowns that occurred this day in weather history. Tomorrow is October the 27th, and we are coming to the final episodes in our Fall Classic series focusing on World Series weather. The 2008 World Series featured the Tampa Bay Rays for the first time in franchise history, taking on the Philadelphia Phillies, who were looking to win the city of Philadelphia's first pro sports title of all 4 major sports in a quarter century. But just like the October 21st episode of this podcast, remember that, where we explain the difference in weather conditions from Miami, Florida to Cleveland, Ohio during the 1997 World Series? Tomorrow, we go from St. Pete's, Florida to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and it was an adventure, to say the least. Never miss a moment of the action by subscribing to the podcast wherever you happen to be listening to me right now. Click the subscribe or follow button and you are alerted when the next day is ready. And you can always go back and binge listen to the days in weather history you either missed or want to hear again. Hey, check out the TV station, The Weather Network, or hit us up online as the podcast video shorts are now playing right from the TDI WH podcast studio where I'm recording right now. We've got it loaded with video, so it really brings the story to life. It's on TV, and you can also find them at www.theweathernetwork.com/weather history. Check those out today. Tomorrow, will the Phillies close out the World Series, or will the weather win again and force things to go another day? Be here tomorrow on This Day in Weather History with me, your host, Chris May.